Sure, I got y'all beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 25th Claris Community Live in celebration of FileMaker 2025. And I'm going to give full credit to Ronnie for strongly advocating that we do a launch party the week of release. So I'm thrilled that we'll be here today, tomorrow, and Monday and Tuesday next week. And if you go to the community live page in the Claris community, you can register for the rest of the sessions if you haven't already done that. And also, I just want to let everybody know that this afternoon, Ronnie and Todd will be appearing on Richard Carlton's FMTV live stream for an extended Q&A of whatever they're covering today. And we will also be continuing that through the rest of this week. So please join them there. And I'm just going to start the poll. So if you could, please answer these questions. These are specifically from Ronnie. He wants to know if you're using AI in FileMaker already and what level of experimentation you've been doing. So while we get the poll started, just introduce my guests. I forgot to do that. We have Claris product manager, Ronnie Rios, and CTO of Proof+Geist, Todd Geist, and they're going to talk all about what you can do with the new LLM script steps in FileMaker 2025. They've got some background, some demos, and we'll have lots of time for Q&A. So with that, Ronnie, why don't you take it away and just kind of introduce what we did and why, and let's get started.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rosemary, and thanks everyone for being here. I'm super excited. This is a long time in the making. There's a lot of hard work that's been put in here to get to this day. But as Rosemary mentioned, today we'll be diving into some of the newest AI-driven script steps and functions that we're introducing with FileMaker 2025. Now, before we get started to more of the details and some demos and things like that, I really wanted to kind of touch base and talk about a little bit about why we're building these features. And I know AI is in a lot of people's mind, but as we discussed during the keynote at Engage earlier this year, our mission is to make sure that we empower you with the AI building blocks that you're going to need to create the next generation of apps, right? To be able to fulfill the needs of your users as we move forward through this new era. So these new features, they aren't just about like flashy tech, cool stuff. They're really about giving you the practical and reliable tools that you're going to need to integrate seamlessly into your existing workflows. And so we know that to build truly effective AI-driven applications, you need more than just large language models. So there's more to it than just having access to LLMs. You need access to data. You need automation execution. You need reasoning built in there. You need continuous learning. There's security, obviously, and all those things need to be working together. And so that's why we focused on this for this particular release, making sure that we bring all those in a cohesive way for you. And so specifically today, we're going to be talking about we'll talk about a little bit more of the script steps. There's some really great things in here. The generate response from model script steps is going to be, I believe, is going to be one of the core building blocks for AI-driven applications. Perform SQL from natural language allows you to create and run queries using just natural language, and also perform find by natural language, which allows you to take natural language and convert that into FileMaker native searches, which is really fantastic. These aren't just new tools. Again, these are building blocks designed to make your development faster, easier, and your application smarter. So I'm really excited. Once again, I can't wait to see the things that you're going to build with these new tools. It's always, the creativity and the problem solving that I see from the community always inspires me and everybody here at Claris, and I can't wait to see what you guys built with these new blocks. So with that, I think let's get started. I mean,
well, before we do that,
stuff. Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to share a little bit, share some poll results.
Yes.
So we asked, have you deployed any AI-powered features in your FileMaker apps? And we have, let's see, so 15%, 16% in production, 19% in development, 39% said no, but they are planning to. And the rest, about 25%, said no, and I don't know where to start. So for that, we have tools to help you, like today's Community Live. We also have the AI and semantic search course that we released earlier this year. And we will have a course coming out later this month in Claris Academy all about using the new LLM script steps. And just, I did a quick scan of like the things that are preventing people, and the two biggest hurdles right now are people don't have a use case, a reason their clients aren't asking for it. And the other is knowledge and learning. So they just haven't had time to get started. So with that, and I also just realized I forgot to introduce Angie, our head of community. She's here to help produce and keep things moving. So with that, Ronnie, what are these top few features? And Todd, feel free to interrupt as you see fit.
Oh, I will.
Let me share my screen because I think it's kind of hard to grasp how big this release is, and especially the AI portion where I am obviously hugely invested in. But if we go through just looking at the release notes, we've got brand new script steps. We got a perform SQL query by natural language, like I mentioned before, allowing you to take just writing whatever you want, and it'll take that and convert that into SQL. We'll even execute it for you. And if you want to, you can send that data to an LLM to provide it in answer in natural language. And all that, abstracting a lot of the APIs and all the cumbersome stuff that comes in the way. Another really cool script step is the perform find by natural language mentioned earlier. It takes natural language requests and converts it into a FileMaker native find. So it's like if you're going into find mode and you typing in the criteria, so it takes that natural language request and converts that into FileMaker, which is really amazing. We did some cool demos last year using the conventional tools that we had in it, but we thought it was such a great feature. It's such a great use case that we can make that into a native feature. And I think, and Todd, I agree, it's a fantastic addition to the FileMaker tool set. And then the generate response from model is it's kind of your Swiss Army knife for talking with large language models, getting you up and running as quickly as possible with LLMs. I've demoed this at Engage, and we did a quick demo getting you up and running, connecting with large language models in less than a minute, and it literally is that fast. And we'll have a look at it here today. But beyond that, there's script sets for configuring prompt templates, so you can reuse them and use different models than the ones that we've tested. We've got RAG functionality built into the platform, built in with FileMaker Server. And you got script step to control the functionality here, like configuring and performing actions. We've got fine tuning built into the platform already as well, and with the script steps to accompany that to help you configure and use those fine-tuned models. We even have regression models, so you can train your own prediction models using the vector embeddings functionality that we introduced last year. And so we got script steps to help you train those models and be able to use them as well. And to help help all of these script steps, we've got also new functions that are tools that you'll use to leverage a lot of these script steps. So we got a new function that gets field on layout, so it gives you a JSON object of all the layouts of all the fields that you have on a particular layout, so you can use that, maybe use that as context. We've got new functionality, new functions for manipulating vector embeddings, so to normalize embeddings, to do math with embeddings, which is, I think, is a really fantastic thing, and there's some really great use cases there. You have functions for predicting with the model that you trained, and also for functionality with RAG. And this is not counting all the functionality we added into FileMaker Server to host and manage all of your AI services. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that tomorrow. So as you can see, it's huge. There's a lot here. I am particularly very excited about one, and I want to kind of show that really quickly. Todd and I have been talking about this script step for quite some time, but the generate response from model, I think, is one of those core building blocks, right? It allows you to talk with large language models as quickly as possible. And I'd like to take just literally a minute to show it off here real quick. And Todd, you can join me. We can talk about this here a little bit, but I've got here a quick FileMaker application. there's almost nothing here. There's just a couple of fields. There's literally no scripts in here right now. And I'm going to wire it up. I'm going to try this live. I've never done this live, but I'm going to wire it up here to talk with a large language model. So I've got a button over here. We got a prompt field. We got some response field and some calculations here, but I've got nothing here. I'm going to take this button and I'm going to have it run a script. There's no script right now. I'm going to create a script here live, and we'll call this here send for now. And in order to talk with the large language model and with a lot of these script sets, you first have to configure an account. You got to let it know what it's talking to. So I'm going to be using the configure AI account script step, which we introduced last year, and we're continuously leveraging that to make it a lot easier. And so here I need to give it a name. The name can be anything I want, as long as I reference it. I use that later. So I'm just going to use chat here for now. And for provider, I'm going to be using OpenAI today, but we have several other providers, and then custom here allows you to use either the FileMaker server or any other provider that uses the OpenAI API, which is really, really great. For the API, I've got the API key. I've got a field over here that stores that. And so that's it. My account is set up. And now let's talk with the model. And so to talk with the model, we use this new script step called generate response from model. And I'm going to add that in there. It requires an account name, which is referencing the one that I just set up here before. I can choose which model I want to talk to. I'm going to kind of like GPT-4o, put that in there. And then what's the prompt? What is the user information that we're going to send? What's the message that we're going to send over there? And we've got a field over here. We're just going to set that one up there. And then I've got some other features, some other parameters over here. I'm going to turn this on here for now. And the response I'm going to get back to the model, I'm going to store it over here in this field so we can have something there. And I'm going to turn on streaming because I just think it looks cool. That's all. All right, save that. And then we're going to test this live here. Let's see.
So cool.
Hello. And there you go. We got integration with LLM. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Right? No API, no nothing. You can just start talking with it. Let's say start doing some crazy stuff over here. Yeah. All right. Let's see. How much is? I don't know. We could do all these crazy things. Now, here's a cool thing.
Asking models to do math was a bad idea.
It works pretty well now. In the early
Yeah.
days, it didn't work, but
yeah,
getting
they can do
smarter and smarter.
basic stuff.
Yeah.
Now, here's one thing I wanted to point out. Like this is talking directly to an LLM very, very quickly. But I'm going to point out something that's interesting about the way we set this up right now. If I ask it, what is my name? Remember earlier, I told him my name was Ronnie. It's going to say it doesn't know. And the reason it doesn't know is that it has no context. So far, we've set up this script step to be a kind of basically brand new chat. Every single time I send this over, it's completely brand new. It's just starting from scratch every single time. However, our script step is built to handle that for you. So I'm going to show you how we can convert this right now, which is just a simple request, into a chat bot. So I'm going to go back here to the script that we just created. Go over here to the script, and I'm going to make just 2 minor changes. I'm going to turn this off here because we don't need it. But we've got an option over here called Save Message History To. And this allows us to specify where do we want to save the chat history. And so just for fun, I'm going to save this here into a global variable. You can save this to a local variable if you want to, and then you can manipulate and do a lot of really cool things with it. I can also here specify how much of the back and forth I want to save, because these chats might get really long. It might take a lot of space and whatever. You can put in whatever you want. I'll just put here 10 just for fun. And I always want to make sure that I send the exact same history back to the model so that it has that same context. So we're saving into this variable and we're saying the same thing. That's about it. I'm going to close this up. Let's just start from scratch. And let's start and see what's here. I'll say here, my name is Ronnie. And now you'll see that we're actually saving the entire chat history over here. Let's continue here. Let's see, how much is 1 is 2? And see, it's keeping all that. And so because it has that context, now I can ask it, what is my name? And because that chat history is there, that context, it actually knows what my name is, because it can reference that past information, and all this is part of the context. We've literally created a chatbot right here live in just about a minute.
Yep, and many people want to know, will you share this later today?
Absolutely. There's a lot here, right? But absolutely, this is, I'm so excited about the script and the possibilities of this, because I mean, literally, you've got the easiest way to integrate with the model directly from your application. This is just really fantastic. And because this is stored in a variable, this is all text, right? And us FileMaker developers, we're really good at manipulating text, and we can present this information in a lot of different ways. So for example, I've got over here just a calculation, layout calculation that takes the exact same information, just presented just in a nicer way, right? This is just basic FileMaker calculation. If you're like Todd or has a little bit more experience with web technology, you can use web viewers and make this look a lot pretty, a lot prettier. But it's the same thing. It's exact. You've got a chatbot up and running very, very quickly with this one script step. So yeah, I'm extremely excited about this one script step. I know it's just one thing among a lot of other things, but I'm just really happy about this.
Well, one of the things I like about it is you can do this quick, easy demo, right? With just like, you just learn a few things, and now you begin to get a sense for what LLMs can do in your own hands, inside your own tools. And that's pretty powerful, because, if you haven't done any of this kind of stuff with some other programming language or anything else, it really might be a mystery how these large language models work, but it's actually not that conceptually difficult to understand what they're up to. And so this gives you the tools to get started really quickly. And then this script step is quite powerful, and you can go quite far with it once you learn the basics and keep exploring it with things like tool calling and other stuff. Well, we can talk about later, but it's pretty powerful. And I think it's a pretty good first step into learning how to put the power of large language models in your FileMaker solutions. And it's not just for chats, it's for all kinds of things.
Yep.
Yeah, just as an example, after Engage, I think you all know I did the surveys for Engage, and we get a lot of feedback about the speakers. So I used FileMaker 2025, get response from model, and sent the feedback, the raw feedback we got for every session, to a model, and got back a summary, and then sent that on to the speakers. And Ronnie and Todd, was getting the summary helpful?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I pretty much start every long reading with putting the whole thing in some chat somewhere and getting a summary. I mean, that's kind of my first approach now to everything. So summaries are great.
Yeah.
Also, parsing data, like I think we'll have time to show some examples later.
Yeah.
Like taking unstructured, text and turning it into structured text, which is something that you have to do with FileMaker all the time.
Yep.
And now it's really simple to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. Taking unstructured to structured and vice versa is something that large language models excel at. And so
Yeah,
easy to do.
one just
Really
maybe a
good.
simple way to start to seed the thinking around this is we've got code which is deterministic. It's predictable. It
Yes.
does exactly what you tell it to do, but you have to tell it what to do, everything, all the time. And what
I never can
LLMs
answer.
do
I
is
never
give you
can.
the other side of the equation, which is I don't actually know what I want to do ahead of time, but I want to do this. I want to do this thing that I describe in English, and it can figure out how to do it. And so combining those two things of probabilistic, of non-deterministic, like these large language models can do, which is generate new things, and deterministic code, put those two things together, and you can create a lot of power and value.
Yeah. Just there's a few questions coming in. First, Ronnie, like a lot of people want to know, am I restricted to using OpenAI for this? So can you just go back into the setup, configure AI, whatever that script step is, configure account, and just talk a little bit more about those options. And I'll add these options are also covered in depth in the existing Claris Academy course on semantic search.
Yep. So we've added support in this release. In addition to OpenAI, there's support for Anthropic and Cohere. Both of these are major players, and we'll continue adding support for others there as well. And they have completely different APIs, but as far as the operation of this, it doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, you can literally change. I can change from OpenAI to Anthropic here, and it'll continue to work the way it is here, which is fantastic,
Yeah.
right? I don't have to worry about those things. These script steps take care of all of that. But there are others. If you choose custom, you can point it to other softwares and other provider. There are many other out there who have adopted the OpenAI API as their API format. And so you can, if you choose your custom, you can point it to any URL you want, any base URL, and it'll follow the OpenAI API. So there's a lot of third-party softwares and other providers that literally just follow that API. And we'll continue adding more. We're looking at adding several other providers here as well, but we want to start with the ones that with several others here real quickly.
Mhm. Yeah, and there's a few questions about costs and security.
Yeah.
So I think on the security, so if you're using these script steps, how do you ensure that your FileMaker data is not used to train the model, as clients may not want their data used to train the model?
Yeah, so what we're abstracting here is the API to those providers. So every provider, I won't speak for any provider specific, but every provider has what their privacy settings are and how they're handling your data. And so highly recommend you read how they're using your data there. We're just abstracting the API. We're not doing anything beyond that. But generally speaking, most providers in their privacy and user agreement say they don't use data that comes in through their API to train their models. Once again, read what they do over there, but what we're doing here is abstracting the API and doing some other things on top of that. But how your data is used is something that's going to be something you need to determine with the API provider.
And I think it's important to note that's why custom is there, because there are different providers have different policies, and for different customers and different use cases, you may require very stringent requirements, or maybe you're fine with OpenAI. It's just each of those, it's sort of a continuum from highly secure, highly private, and probably it costs a lot more, to OpenAI, which is going to be cheaper and is it's a public model. It's the data is going to their servers, and you just have to read their privacy stuff and make sure you understand what that's saying. But you have the range that you can do.
Yep. And I'll just add, we're going to talk much deeper about that continuum and security, privacy tomorrow when we look at all the features of FileMaker Server. So same time, just
the other thing is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah.
The other thing it's just to say about cost is, again, it's a continuum, and depending on the model you're using,
Yes,
and the use case that you are trying to do, you might be able to use very, very inexpensive models, or even free open source models, or you may need to use Claude Opus 4, which is very expensive, but it's very good. And so it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. And this is part of the learning that we have to do as a community, is to figure out what models are good at what, and trade that off with the costs.
absolutely great.
All right. Well, do you want to jump to the next one, Todd? Like, how do you perform a find with?
Oh yeah. Okay. So we want to jump into that. So this is actually my favorite. This is actually my favorite. Sort of like, it's kind of like the thin edge of the wedge, or the the gateway into LLMs for FileMaker, because it's again, it's like, it's really simple to do. But so the idea is that you want to be able to perform a natural language find. So I'm on the customer's layout here, and I can just say find all customers in, let's just pick Wyoming, and it's going to do a find and find the records that are in Wyoming. And if I just do Command R to refresh that, you'll see it filled out the state, Wyoming. And so you can make more advanced finds. You can just talk and make a find. And the LLM will actually predict what the best query to do is and to perform that query for you on the current layout that you're in. So that's the simplest, easiest way to do this. And let me just show the script here because, again, it's really simple. If we look at the natural language, this is when Ronnie talked about setting up the OpenAI account. I'm just running that in a subscript. So it's not, I'm just making sure that my OpenAI account is configured and set up and loaded. And then there's really just two script steps that matter here. I'm just reading the user. I don't even really need this one. I just, by default, I pretty much always write things to variables before I
Yeah.
use them, but I don't need to. And then this is really the whole script step here. In this case, I'm using GPT 4.1 mini, which tends to
Nice.
be a pretty low cost model
Yeah.
and does a pretty good job with, your usual kind of fine requests. You might need to use GPT 4.1 if you want to do more complex finds. But that's pretty much it. I don't even need a prompt template here, which we can talk about if we have time. I don't even need to specify the fields on the layout because it just is smart enough to figure out what layout I'm on, and it just looks at the fields in the layout and it just constructs that find for you and then just performs it. So this is like just such a simple feature you can add to your FileMaker solutions with literally the rest of this. This is just errors. This is just error handling.
Error trapping, yeah.
It's really one script step. If I wanted to, I guess I got to do the set up the account. And then if I wanted to connect this to, if I wanted to, I could make it even simpler, but that's it. That's all there is to it. And you've got AI power in your FileMaker solution. And I think you can imagine ways which you could extend this. You could even write something that did like a global search across all your tables you wanted to expose, and then provide a way to navigate to those records. It's really simple. Any questions on that?
Yeah, there's one. How do naming conventions affect using this?
Yeah, this is where you might need. So there is a script step called configure prompt template here. Configure prompt template, and if you pick your find request, and then you go in and you can tweak the prompt that goes into the AI that tells it how to do its stuff, basically what rules it should follow. This is the default one that Claris includes. You can write a new one here, or you could add new sections to this that would deal with any weird naming conventions that you want. Or you could tell it something like, when the user asks about X, use this field, and the LLM will use that as part of its instructions to, again, create that request. And that's the magic. You're just giving it a goal and you're giving it a few hints. You're basically saying, create a find request, and here's some hints about how to do that. And the LLM goes, I got you. And it just does it. So you might have to do that for particular, maybe very complex layouts, or you can also tune down the number of fields you pass in. You can do that kind of stuff to make it more fine-tuned for your use case.
And
Any other
will it
questions?
do that in any language, or is it just English?
I believe it does it in any language. Ronnie, you can probably speak to that better than me.
It depends on the model you're using, and so
Okay,
it really
good,
depends. Yeah, if the model that you're connecting to supports multiple language, then the answer is it'll figure it out. But if it's not, then you'll have to make some tweaks here to the prompts and things like that. But it really mostly depends on the model.
Yeah. One other thing to point out here is we had semantic search last year, and you might think you could do similar things with this, right? But the difference is here is I didn't have to do any indexing up front. I didn't have to embed any of the data into any rag space or into FileMaker fields. So I don't have to maintain that index here. I can just do searches. Now it's not semantic search, so it's not going to be able to, do the thing where it uses meaning, but it is very quickly giving you a natural language way of doing finds, which is what people are very rapidly going to expect now. They're just going to expect that as a capability of any system.
Yeah. Another thing, I'll mention one other thing. there are cases, right? Because some of us have solutions that we've used for quite some time, and we've got some abbreviations that only only we understand. And if another human can't understand it, most likely the model won't be able to understand it either. But to help in those situations, we did add support for a tag in the comments for the fields. So when you go into into your fields in the comments, if you
I can actually
include
show that here.
oh, if you have that there, it'd be
I
awesome.
have it. I didn't realize that works for the natural
It does.
language. Ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So
So if we,
I have these all
mhm.
um like I have these for the because I'm using the SQL queries, but so
Mhm.
something like this where
Yeah.
you get a little extra bit of information about a field. Like here's a summary. So oh, that's let's look at this one here. So it has that, right?
Yeah. So yeah, if you include at the beginning of that uh, square bracket LLM close square bracket at the beginning, we'll include that as part of the schema that we send over to the LLM. So that'll help the LLM figure things out. Like for example,
Ah,
whether or
okay.
not to use an abbreviated state, right, or full, or should it use the full name of the state, for example, right? That happens. That's very often. That's one of the things that trip me up sometimes, or the model, right? Whether or not you use a full name of the state or its abbreviation. But if you include that in there as part of the description, right, in your comments, they'll send that over and it'll help the model there as well.
Excellent. I learned something new. I thought that was only for
Yeah,
SQL and I was using the
yeah.
DDL stuff, but that's really good
The
to know.
other interesting thing is, and because I've gotten this question several times, is what exactly gets sent over, and so the
Yeah.
script set is actually pretty smart. It only sends the fields that are in the current layout when the script is running, but only the fields that a user would be able to use in find mode. So if the invisibility is set up, or if it's outside of the bounds of the layout and things like that, global fields like those things don't get sent over. We only send the things that would be useful in a search in a find, right, in a natural find and FileMaker there as well.
So is a question, I wonder, Todd, if you can actually maybe demonstrate this with your file. So how does a user have confidence that the natural language search is giving them the results they do if they constructed the same find with FileMaker? So for example, can you show me everybody in Wyoming who made a purchase last quarter?
I can, but I need to use a different tool set for that.
Okay.
So because I didn't this is a good point though about the natural language find. The natural language find is going to perform that find on whatever layout that you tell it to do. Now you can combine those results because you can. This is actually important to know. I think I've got a test here. So let's take a look at this. So this is a simple script step where I've just set the prompt here, find all the customers in Wyoming, and I've got my prompt template set up. But in this case, I've set up I've added where I want I want to actually get this new script step that this new function that Ronnie pointed out, get fields from layout, and I want to use my customer's view layout. And then the other thing I did here was I changed this to get found set as JSON. So this is really cool
That's
because if
that's
you want to like
yeah.
search in a bunch of different tables and then take those JSON results, combine them and display it in a web viewer or in a virtual list kind of thing, you can do that. So I can run that script in with script debugger on so we can just see the results real quick. And maybe that'll spark some ideas. So I'm just going to set that prompt. We're going to configure that template, and then we're going to run that request. And in this case, I've set the target to the response variable. So if we look at response, there's the data. So that is using the data API format. So just the same you get from execute data API. The other thing that you can do with this script step, which is really fun, is you can change it to, instead of doing the get found set as JSON, you can get the find request. So this will give you the data API find request as JSON, which you could then tweak, maybe add the user So you get a filtered find, and then use the execute data API to find that request.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very flexible script step and very powerful. So yeah, that probably covers that script step in pretty good.
Yeah. And I just want to, Ronnie, this is our
Yeah.
Todd also, like the question, who's the audience for this? You know, like, you know, is this customers who are directly accessing an app, or is it for, you know, someone who doesn't have time to really learn how FileMaker works and learn the nomenclature and structure of a database? Yeah, so like, can you maybe explain like how is this helpful to to our either FileMaker's customers or to your customers?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's happening, it's very clearly, very quickly happened to me, is that I pretty much just type text into box and hit enter and expect results.
Yeah.
That is where we are headed. That's where the whole ecosystem is headed. And so the idea that I would go to find mode and like find the field I want to search in and like do any of
Create multiple requests.
that incredibly difficult heavy lifting that we've been doing for 15 years, it's really quickly just goes away. You just want to type text or like, you know, you can use a feature like this and say, find all the customers in Alaska. And oops, let me just, and then it would put all that in there, and then I hit enter, right? Like that's where we're headed. We're headed to that. We're not headed to where is this date? Like I have to remember all this data is in. Like nobody's going to do that anymore. They're just going to ask the LLM to figure out how to do the find, and the find is going to get performed. So I think it's everybody, frankly. I think it's everybody.
Yeah, I completely agree. Even if you do want to, and I still believe that there is a lot of power, and there's really good reasons to, you know, if you're a brand new user, to learn how to use the FileMaker operators and FileMaker Find. If anything, this is a great on-ramp for those new users. They don't understand the operators. They don't know how to use them. They don't understand multiple requests and things like that. You can give them a feature that will create the request for them. It'll perform the find, and they can go back and look at the request and see, oh yeah, so that's how you find ranges of date ranges, for example, right? Or that's how you find people in New York and Indiana, right? And creating multiple requests. So
Yeah, just like an example, like,
yeah.
you know, find all my customers in New England. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Like,
the LLM will
That's
figure out
exactly.
what's in New England.
I literally did that the other day. I said, I was doing, because I was just testing things out, and say, find all the customers west of the Mississippi, and just go ahead and figure that out, right? That requires like, you know, 30 different or something like that request, and figure it out for you and go ahead and do that for you. So there's a lot of things. As a developer, however, I have been using it as well as a way, as Todd mentioned this, you can get the data API request. And I love using the execute data API script step. I don't like writing the request, figuring it out. Now I just I have this little tool. I write it out, and just it spits out the JSON. Just copy and paste that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's the thing. It's like we just want to get our thoughts onto the screen and have that screen project thoughts back into our brain. And anything we can do to remove the little bits of friction in there, like typing. I know this really hard thing, typing and clicking. Oh my gosh, clicking. Anything we can do to remove that is going to make people feel better about using the application. Wow.
I'm trying to skim through the questions, and they're coming through fast and furious.
Can I well, yeah. Anything else we should get to, or do you want to?
Yeah, here's another one. Here's a good one.
Okay.
Does all of this work if your client interface is WebDirect?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Short answer is yes.
It will.
Yes.
Because this is just a FileMaker script step. That's all it is. So all of the things now, you're probably not going to use you're probably not going to do this on a PSOS script because you want if you're doing the found set, but you might do it as a PSOS script if you just want the JSON back, for example.
Exactly.
So, and it should work fine there too. So.
Yeah, and just Ronnie, for your information, there's a healthy conversation about code assistance. Do you want to say
Healthy.
anything about that?
That's um, we've mentioned during engagement, we are really focused on doing that as well. And we'll be hearing more and more about that as time goes on. But today I don't want to take away from celebrating this release. So let's focus on a little bit more of that.
All right. Yes, I will add, I did just update the product backlog. And there is something about that on the product backlog. So if you think that code assistance is important, please go to the community, find the product backlog, and vote for your favorite new features that are listed. It was fun to mark a lot of stuff delivered and add new things.
Yeah.
So there's more discussion about, field names not matching layout identifiers, and I think you covered that quickly, so I think we'll move on from that.
I should just say, there's a lot of nuance that you'll explore as you get into this, and there's still more to learn. Like, this is not there's understanding how these work and understanding how to prompt them properly and to get the right responses, which models perform better in different circumstances.
Correct. Yeah.
These are all things that we're going to have to develop experience on. There's just no two ways about it. And it is interesting because LLMs are non-deterministic. They're probabilistic. So that means that they're going to give different responses under different conditions. And this is a whole art and science, which is, sweeping the software world. And we're not immune to having to learn that. We will have to learn it.
Yeah. And 100%. I think, as several people in the chat have said too, it's really learning. This is about experimentation.
That's right.
It's like I did with the text summarization. It's like find a problem you need to solve that's small and start playing. And then over time, those skills will build on each other. Yes. And as Beverly said, we are all learning together. So join us in the AI topic on the community and share your discoveries.
Yeah. Just to highlight that for a second, like, in the broader software world, like, this is all anybody's talking about, really. And now we all have, as a community, we have to learn and understand the same concepts that everybody else is learning and understanding. So again, we're able to plug into this new ecosystem, and it is a big new ecosystem and a bunch of big new opportunities that are happening. The building blocks are here in the platform now, or coming soon to the platform now. And that's going to let us participate in those broader discussions, which I think is critical. So it's pretty exciting. Yep. Can I show my new thing, please? I just want to.
Please.
Show your thing.
Please, I wanted to literally go to say that right now.
So, all right, and I'm just going to tell everybody right now, we discussed this before the session. Todd said it's not quite finished.
Yeah.
And he will be diving deeper on this with Richard Carlton later this month. So the demo Todd is about to show will not be available.
It will be available. So we're going to release this in some form, probably as an add-on. The idea being that you can drop it into a solution and plug it in. So you're going to see it in its already plugged in state. And I don't know how much time we'll have to get into the details of how you configure it, but just the main thing to take away from this is this will look, a lot of you will, how can I build this? And hopefully the ones who like to build with web technologies can build it. And the ones who don't want to and just want to stay in FileMaker, they'll be able to drop this into their solution, or frankly, there will be others from other people. We're not the only ones doing this, but this is our sort of what we think of as best in class chat experience embedded in FileMaker. And so let's take a look at that here. So you notice the simple solution I had is just products, customers, context, products, and invoices, right? We've seen this a million times. I won't dive into the details, but we've got this chat window here. And when I open up a chat window, I get this. And now this is a full chat, so I can say, tell me a story about FileMaker developers. I have to type and look to the right, which is a bit hard for me. So give me right? Because I'm sharing the screen, FileMaker developers. And what we're going to get is this nice streaming UI as everything comes in and we get that little thing. And, you know, that's pretty fun, right?
This is a,
So
Todd, this is a web viewer in FileMaker.
that's right. Oh, sorry. Didn't explain that. So let me just, that's the UI, right? It's a web viewer we built. It's embedded in the FileMaker app. It can even, I mean, you can't run offline if you want to connect to OpenAI or offline or online models, but there's no server code. This is all embedded within the FileMaker file. I was just too excited to get to it. Sorry.
No.
So, you know, and so I've got my message history. I can see all this. I can also do things like I can,
Once,
I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that?
Company, there was a team of file.
Yes.
I don't think I shared sound, so you may not be able to hear that, but it's sharing. It's actually reading that to me. I can copy it. I can do all that kind of fun things. I can keep going on with the thread. But the interesting part becomes, what if I want to integrate this now? So this is a chat. And if I used, you know, ChatGPT, if I used OpenAI's best models, it would basically be doing, you know, essentially what you'd get with ChatGPT. Or if you used Anthropic, it would be like Claude. But what if I want to embed it into my FileMaker app and give it access to my FileMaker data? How do I do that? So let's take a look at that. So let's say I've got some prompts here. Let's say find the last 10 invoices over $10,000. And we'll just throw that into the chat. And it's going to run a query. And it's retrieving the data. And you see I've got this nice data grid over here, which is kind of cool, right? And I've got a set of the last, so these are the last 10 invoices that totaled over $10,000 in the database. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But the cool thing is, because again, it's embedded within my FileMaker app, I can actually navigate. So we're looking over here, we're on customers. Let's click on this and we'll navigate to invoices, and notice the found set matches. So I've been able to have the found set and the selected record. So watch over here. I'm on the fourth record here. If I click here, I'm now on that record. So wherever I click, I navigate to, which is pretty sweet, right? So it's
Awesome.
tightly integrated with the FileMaker app. And we do that through the use of tools and through, which hopefully I can at least touch on in a bit. But I want to show another one, which is super fun. So I've got a picture here of a business card, and it's my business card, right? Boom. Let's drag that into the window, and let's say create a contact with this info. So it's creating a contact, but what it's going to do is, this is a human in the loop interaction where it's allowing me to confirm this. Now, the really cool part here is that in the background, we've got a web viewer, but that is a FileMaker layout.
It's a card window. Yeah, yeah.
It's a card window. So if I hit confirm and enter this, I can confirm the data, hit confirm. It's created the contact. Beautiful. And if I want to go and look at that, I can click, and there I'm on that contact record. So this is, and just to sort of point out, this is a tool. Large language models can use tools.
What's a tool?
Tools can be, they're basically functions. They can be a FileMaker script or a custom function. And so in this case, the tool create contact is just a FileMaker script. It's just going to get in the data that was in the chat, that it figured out that the information that I needed to call this tool. It figured out I needed to call this tool, and it figured out what data this tool required, and it passes it to it as a script parameter. And then I want to take the data that came in, and I want to use the generate response from model to make sure that it matches the structure that I need. And then it just parses that out. And I just open a new window. I open a transaction so I can cancel and have it not go in. I set the fields, and then I just do a response here. I set back a result, and I close the window so we don't have that. I commit the transaction, close the window, and then just make sure I'm back on the web app below it, and I'm done. That's it. Exit with the result. So that is a tool that is written in a FileMaker script, which uses the generate response to interact with the web viewer chat agent that we have built in there, which is, again, I think all really, really cool. So tools are really powerful, and you can integrate them with generate response from model. You don't have to have a chat widget to do that. Anytime you use the generate response, you can give it a set of tools to use, and it can use those tools. And again, those tools can be script steps. We're going to add, I think there's some new features coming that's going to allow that to automatically call script steps. But right now it's pretty easy to call them yourself, to call scripts for yourself. It's pretty simple to do. I don't know what time to dive into that, but
Todd,
maybe
do you
we
just
can
want to,
stop
can you
there.
just pop up the settings dialog, the settings for generate response from model, just to
This one
show
here?
people that one there? Because there were
Yeah.
a couple questions like, where do you get tools? This is also where you would set temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where this is for you to
Yep.
explore.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's a lot to learn here on these things and how they work and how they play together. But yeah, this is the key bits to it.
yeah.
And
I'll
I can show-
reiterate. We have like very soon, later this month, we will have a new Claris Academy course that starts diving into generate response from model and the perform find with semantic search script step. Todd, Richard just said, Todd's going to spend a week diving into all of this later this month. And I think Ronnie and I discussed sometime soon we will plan a community live that's just about using tools with this script step.
This is the magic, because what tools give you is the ability to do things like human in the loop interactions like I just showed, but also it allows you to take probabilistic things and shape them into deterministic things, which is critical.
Yep.
Because if you want a contact created, you want to make sure it's created properly, etc., things like that. So that's where the two worlds connect, and that's where you get to really just begin to create streamlined workflows. And the thing that agents, or that these generate response and this whole new LLM world is good at, is taking tools that you set up and then figuring out how to string them together so that you don't have to write code that strings them together. The tool, the LLMs will figure that out, and it will know, like, oh, you want to send an email to your top customers. Well, I've got a tool that finds my top customers, so I'll just use that. And then I've got a tool that sends emails, so I'll just use that. So then all I need from you is the email. And so you type the email and you hit send, and it figures it out and makes it all happen, which is awesome.
Yes.
It makes you feel like you have superpowers. So yay.
And we believe you do now.
But this is superpowers for everybody. And
This is
like the web app that we built is fairly complex, and you're going to need to be a React and TypeScript developer if you want to build that kind of thing. But again, we and others will make add-ons which will allow you to take something like this that looks like that and drop it into a solution and then wire it up so that it works with your solution by configuring the instructions and the prompts that go into it and the tools that chat gets to call. And then you get to use it with your own database. So awesome, right?
All right, Ronnie, here's a question for you as we come to the end. Will this AI stuff work for FileMaker Cloud implementations?
Everything we've shown here today, yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
These are just script steps run across Cloud with support.
You guys are doing a whole thing on the server side stuff tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So
yes. And then we'll talk about that. But everything you've seen here today works perfectly fine in FileMaker Cloud. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just in closing, first I want to call everybody's attention to our closing questions. Again, Ronnie wants to know things like, when are you going to deploy FileMaker 2025? And if you feel like we've at least given you a nudge down down the path. So please, in the last couple minutes before you leave, answer those questions. And I think there was a question way back at the beginning, and I think this is a good one. There's been a lot of talk, even since we started talking about AI, about costs. And so Todd, for your customers and for you as a developer, like what makes the added costs of AI, of implementing AI, whatever they are, worth it? What are you seeing for return on investment?
So I think the main thing is, like I said before, like these kinds of experiences are going to be table stakes, which is one thing. Like if you want to do application development in 2025 and 2026, people are going to expect it to have these kinds of natural language type features. Again, so that's just like table stakes. Like, okay, we have to keep up with the Joneses. Great, we have to do it. That seems like a cost. But the ability to take these, as we talked about, these tools and combine it with LLMs means that you can create things that you just can't do without these tools. Like this ability to sort of string together different tool usages based on what a particular user just decided to do that day. So they don't have to go back and say, hey, by the way, when this happens, I have to do these 5 things in order. Can you write me a thing that does these 5 things in order? You'll be able to design features that respond to somebody saying, I need to do these 5 things in order, and it will just do them, right? Like it will be able to pull that stuff off. And so I think that's it. It's going to be that people are going to feel so much more productive using these kinds of tools and these kinds of UIs that they're going to demand that these things are in your applications. And if they're using applications that don't have them, they're going to demand to switch to applications that do. And I don't mean that in a scary way. I mean that as an opportunity way. You can now go do this right now in your FileMaker apps with 2025. You can start to add these features to applications, and people will love them. And they will not want to leave your application because you're able to provide these features. That's how it's become for me. I really only want to use apps that have these features in them now. It's that powerful. And so once you experience that, I think you'll agree that that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. So that's where it's going to offset the costs. And it's going to be worth it. It's definitely going to be worth it. If you're going to use the cheaper models, the very powerful cheaper models, the costs aren't even going to be that high, frankly. So in that case, it's a no-brainer, really.
Anything to add to that, Ronnie?
I absolutely agree. Especially the use of tools and being able to not have to create every single feature for every single possible outcome that you think that the user might ask, right? To me, the example I like going back to is charts, dashboards, because I don't like building them. Because every time I build one for a customer, inevitably next month they ask for another chart that we didn't think about last month, and we had to keep on going and going and going, and because business needs change. And now you're able to create a dashboard that's completely dynamic, that the user can literally ask what they want and the chart will automatically get created. They can change it, they can move it around. And as a developer, your job now is to create the user experience that they're going to, and the boundaries from which that user going to be, but they have all the flexibility and creativity to use these tools now. And I think it's fantastic. So
it is. And like the static layouts, like which is Ronnie getting at, layouts that don't change, people are going to become suspicious of.
I like that.
And again, I don't want this to be, that's not a scary thing. This is an awesome opportunity. This is a whole new world that we can step into, and we should just all be super excited. I mean, I am digging it, and come along for the ride. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Well, thank you both. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Angie. Thanks everybody who joined us. I'm going to answer this like one last FileMaker Cloud question. So FileMaker Cloud is your server. And yes, your server will be on FileMaker 2024, FileMaker 21 for a while. We will be bringing the latest server to FileMaker Cloud in the near future. However, if you go to your Cloud Console, you can download FileMaker Pro 2025 today and start using these features. None of the features that Ronnie and Todd just shared depend on the server version. They all work in the FileMaker Cloud version. So with that, I hope you join us tomorrow and next week. It's been great to see you, and please, let's keep the conversation going. I'll be posting the video to YouTube and Claris Academy later this afternoon, and I'll be pulling the resources we shared and some of the hints that came out in the conversation to the Claris community thread for this episode. And finally, please don't forget to join Ronnie and Todd and the Richard Carlton team at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific this afternoon. Thanks all. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.